Morning everybody. We've been selling a lot of paddleboards recently. A lot of people are paddleboarding and kayaking. We wanted to just show you a few of the different spots on the River Exe that you can go paddleboard and show you some of the hazards, some of the things to look out for. We're going to start here at what's known locally as the duck pond. So there you can see an absolutely amazing morning. Look at that water, completely flat, calm. The mornings are so often the best times to go paddleboarding because the wind often gets up in the middle of the day. So if you haven't been paddleboarding before, I would say this is going to be your first place to come if you're going to come on your own for the first time. So the duck pond is really a high tide location. So there's loads of apps now you can get online, find out what time high tide is. I would suggest trying to get here a little bit before high tide probably is best. The easiest place to launch is down the little slipway that's right at the end. Getting here is a nightmare at the moment because they're doing a load of works over here with the cedar fences, so actually getting your car in is a nightmare. But you can park at Camperdown car park or by the sports centre. As far as where you want to be going, what I would always say is if you have a look and divide the estuary straight up the middle, so if you look straight up the middle of the river, all the water on the right hand side of the river is generally a lot calmer and a lot less currents, and everything on the left hand side of the middle of the river, and certainly towards the entrance of the river, there's a lot more current, so you generally want to stick away from there. So take a line up the middle and stay on the right hand side. So just paddling away from the slipway, probably see Megan just behind me. She's going to join us today, and what we're going to do is just paddle towards the east side of the river because that's where the least tide is and where it's going to be safest on your first few goes. So let's just talk a little bit about safety stuff. Check your tides, check your weather forecast before you go. Normally on a day like today, a beautiful day like today, I probably wouldn't wear a wetsuit. I'd probably just go in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, especially when it's as calm as this. If you're nervous about falling in the water, or if it's colder, definitely recommend a wetsuit. A shorty wetsuit like what we're wearing is perfect. You're easy to get on and off. It's not going to feel too restrictive. You're going to always wear a leash so that if you fall off the board, it's not going to disappear away from you and you can get back on it easily. That's super important, the most important thing. And then buoyancy aids, you can see I've got one on. Megan over there hasn't got one on. That I think is really a little bit of personal preference. Okay, so the duck pond is called the duck pond for a reason, that we get at certain times of the year a lot of seabirds and geese and things like that use the duck pond for feeding. And there's a voluntary exclusion zone in the duck pond, which is marked by this line of yellow buoys that you can see running up the estuary. They're the small little round ones that you can see. The area of water that's to the east side of it, so on the east bank, between the yellow buoys and the bank, is the area that you're supposed to stay out of. It's from the middle of September till January that the majority of the geese come here, and so they ask people to stay out of that zone. What we're going to do now is we're going to go and show you some of the other spots. So we're going to paddle out along the seafront and show you some of the spots along the seafront that are good as well. So we're just coming past Belcher Slipway. As you can see, it's a pretty popular place to launch as well. This area just straight out here, where you can see all the moorings, can be a really good place to paddleboard, but only at low tide. And you can see, if you have a look out here, how it actually becomes like a little pool. We're just coming past the dock entrance now, and this is where it starts to get a bit busy at times. You can see there's a yacht coming in over there, rib going into the dock. We've got another small boat just over here. Morning! So you've got to be a little bit more aware of what's going on. Okay, so that was a bit of a paddle. There's a little bit of a wind from the south just come in, so a little bit harder than we thought. We are a little bit warm, so I think we're going to just cool down a little bit. We're in this little bay here by the lifeboat station. It's a really super place to come paddleboarding, and it's pretty good at most stages of the tide. you can see that you can park really easily on the side of the road, but you're probably going to need to get here early because it's only 10:30 now and it's already pretty full. The nice thing about this bit here is there's a sandbank that runs around at the perimeter of this little bay. So what that does is it basically creates an area in here where there's very little tide, and at low tide it becomes really shallow and really protected. So for little kids, it's a really great place to come at low tide. The kayakers, hopefully you can see that down there, and the paddleboarders there, they're actually on top of what's known as mare rocks. So that's another little zone that you just want to steer clear of. But right in here, it's a great place and definitely recommended. What we're going to do now is do the last bit of paddling from the bay here by the lifeboat station, and we're going to paddle down to Orcombe Point. We've got some rocks here, mare rocks, so we're just going to navigate ourselves around those just a little bit. We've reached the end of our little journey from the duck pond along the seafront, and now we've got to Orcombe Point. Oh look, Megan, she's catching a wave. Woo! There we have it, paddleboarding on the River Exe. There's some great spots. You can use it all stages of the tide. Treat it with respect, have some safety equipment, know what you're doing. You'll have a great time. See you next time.